Picture this: two massive armies, 1,000,000 soldiers, standing face to face on a dusty plain, waiting for the signal to begin. In the middle, a chariot, and inside it, the man everyone believed would win this war. The greatest archer alive, a warrior so skilled that gods had personally trained him. The one person every soldier on both sides feared. And then he puts his bow down, not because of the enemy, not because of a wound, not because he was outmatched. He put his bow down because he looked across at the faces of the people he was about to fight. And he recognized all of them: his grandfather, his teacher, his cousins, his friends, and something inside him, something that had never broken before, broke. He sat down in the chariot, in front of both armies, in front of 1,000,000 soldiers, and said, "I cannot do this." That is where the most important conversation in human history begins. And what the man sitting beside him said next has never left me. The text is called the Bhagwat Gita. It is one of the oldest books ever written. And it begins not with philosophy, not with a prayer, not with wisdom, but with a breakdown. The warrior's name is Arjuna. The man sitting beside him, holding the reins of the chariot, is Krishna. Now, in the tradition this story comes from, Krishna is not just a companion. He is believed to be God in human form, which makes what happens next even more extraordinary, because God does not intervene. Arjuna's hands shake. He describes his body failing him, limbs trembling, mouth drying, vision blurring. In the Gita's own words, his bow slips from his hand and he cannot stand. He speaks in broken sentences. He contradicts himself. He gives reasons why he should not fight, then gives opposite reasons. He is not making an argument. He is unraveling. And Krishna, God, remember, sits beside him and says nothing. Let that settle for a moment. The most powerful being in the multiverse, sitting beside someone in crisis, choosing first to simply be there. No solution, no reassurance, no fixing, just presence. Only when Arjuna finally stops, when he runs out of words and goes quiet, does Krishna speak. And his first words are not comfort. They are something far stranger. He says, "You are grieving for those who do not deserve grief. The wise do not mourn the living or the dead." It sounds cold. It sounds almost cruel. But it is the beginning of the most radical act of care in all of literature. Here is what I need you to understand about Arjun, because this is the part that stopped me cold the first time I really read it. He was not failing. He had not made a mistake. He had not been lazy. He had not taken a wrong turn somewhere. By every measure that his world used to judge a person, he had done everything right. He had trained. He had prepared. He had earned the right to be exactly where he was, and he still collapsed. Think about the last time you felt that. Not failure, because failure is something you can explain. Failure has a reason. You can point to the thing you did wrong and say, "There, that is why." I mean that other feeling, the one that arrives when everything is technically fine. The job is there, the relationship is okay, the health is fine, and yet you wake up and you feel something close to nothing. Or worse, you feel like a stranger in your own life, going through motions that look like living but feel like performing. Arjun wasn't afraid of losing. He was afraid of winning, because winning meant becoming someone he no longer recognized, and he didn't know how to want that anymore. That is not a 5,000-year-old problem. That is the most common crisis of our time, and almost no one names it correctly. We call it burnout. We call it anxiety. We call it quarter-life crisis. We prescribe productivity systems and morning routines. Krishna called it something different. He called it, and this is the exact Sanskrit word, vichar, grief, not exhaustion, not weakness, not failure, grief. And then, remarkably, he named the chapter after it, Arjun Vishara Yoga, the yoga of grief. He called the breakdown itself a practice, a doorway, the first step of the spiritual path. You are not behind. You are beginning. Krishna's response is 18 chapters long. The entire Bhagavad Gita is his answer to one man's breakdown on one morning. Let me give you the 3 things he said that I believe are the most important, not as ancient philosophy, but as something you can use today. The first thing Krishna says, and this still astonishes me, is, you are not the body that is shaking. You are not the mind that is panicking. You are not the warrior who is failing in this moment. He says, beneath all of that, there is something in you that has never been broken and cannot be broken. He calls it the Atman, the soul, the self, the witness behind all your experiences. And he says that self was never born, will never die, and cannot be touched by any circumstance, not loss, not failure, not even death. In practical terms, what he is saying is this: you are not your performance. Your worth is not your output. The thing that makes you, you, exists entirely apart from whether you win or lose today. The second thing he says is, and this is the line the whole world knows, though most people don't understand what it actually means. Karmanye vadikaraste, ma phaleshu kadachana. You have the right to the work. You do not have the right to the result. People hear this and think, what a convenient teaching for failure. Just tell yourself the result doesn't matter. But that is not what he is saying at all. He is saying, the result was never yours to control. The only thing that ever belonged to you was how fully you showed up. And when you make the work itself your offering, when you give it everything, not for the reward, but because it is yours to give, something shifts, the weight lifts, the paralysis breaks, you can move again. The third thing he says is the strangest and the most beautiful. He says, do not abandon your dharma, your purpose, your nature, the specific thing only you are here to do, even if it frightens you, even if it costs you, even if you cannot see where it leads. And here is why that matters. Arjun's crisis was not that he was in the wrong place. It was that he had stopped believing in the rightness of being there. The purpose was always correct. What had collapsed was his trust in it. The answer to emptiness is not more achievement. The answer is remembering why the thing you are doing is worth doing at all. I want to leave you with one thing, just one. Because in my experience, 3 things means you remember none of them. Tonight, or right now, wherever you are watching this, I want you to find the thing in your life that feels like Arjuna's bow. The thing you have put down. Maybe it has been weeks, maybe years. Maybe you have buried it so deep you have almost convinced yourself you didn't want it anyway. And I want you to ask yourself this question. Not the question the world usually asks, which is, can I win? I want you to ask, is this mine to do? Not, am I good enough? Not, will I succeed? Not, what will people think? Simply, is this the thing I was made for? Because if the answer is yes, even a quiet, uncertain yes, then the conversation Krishna had with Arjuna on that battlefield was in some way meant for you too. Pick up the bow. The Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses, 18 chapters, and the very first word of the entire text is dharma, righteous duty, the thing you are here to do. Everything that follows is Krishna trying to help one human being remember his. In the comments, I want to ask you something. I genuinely want to know the answer to. What is the thing you have put down? What is the bow you stopped carrying? You do not have to share the whole story. Even one word is enough. I read all of them. And if this found you at the right time, send it to one person. Not because it will get me more views, but because someone you know is sitting in their own chariot right now, and they need to hear that they are not behind. They are beginning.